Good morning, everyone. You're listening to Right Side Up. My name is Mike Taglavia. My co-host today is Allison Despathy. Good morning, Allison. How are you?
I'm doing great. Good morning.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to jump right into this. As usually, way more to talk about than we have time. First things first. Today is August 11th. It's Tuesday, and it is primary day in Vermont.
Yes, big deal.
So
a big deal.
Get your butt out there and vote.
Yes, please do.
Make sure you know what time your polling place opens. Most of them open at 7 a.m. I know one of my towns, Corinth, opens at 8:30. So
take the time.
Yes, take the time, either early in the morning or after work on your way home. It won't take you that long, and this way we'll know you will have taken part in who actually appears on the ballot in November.
Yeah, Vermont has such an opportunity to keep moving things forward in the right direction.
Yes.
And building on the last election.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, that's part of why we do this show, to inform people, let them know who's doing what.
Mm-hmm. And there were a lot of good things that happened because
Yes.
the supermajority was broken last time. And if we can get more balance and get some more Republicans
Yes.
in there, we'll just keep moving it the right way.
Yes. For
Definitely.
me, balance means 76 Republicans.
There
I
we
may be a
go.
little bit...
And
I may
17
be a little bit-
senators. What was the magic number?
76, yeah.
Yes.
17, so that we can get common sense bills passed. We can get bills passed that will give us better public safety, more affordability.
And repeal some of the bad policy and laws.
Yeah, a
that
number
went
of
in.
repeals.
Yes.
You know, I've been talking with some current legislators and senators. We're looking at maybe 10 bills to deal with repeals of either some programs or all of them,
Right.
depending on how detrimental they have proven to be
Right.
over the past, 5 to 15 or 20 years.
And I've got my list. I mean, Global Warming Solutions Act, we know, right?
Yep.
Act 59, 30 by 30, 50
Yep.
by 50.
Yep.
Obviously, Clean Heat Standard officially off the books would be amazing.
Right.
Renewable Energy Standard.
Right.
You know, keeps going, but there's certainly a good handful that need to go away.
Yes, there are.
Before
And
we get
these-
hit by them, Mike.
Right, before we feel the full impact of them, because
Yes.
just like 181, there was this delayed fuse kind of, so that people wouldn't feel it right after the bill was passed. So that the people who gave you that bill might not even still be in the legislature.
And you may not even be able to connect the dots of why did this happen? Where
Exactly.
did this come from? It's
Right.
like our healthcare policy right
Yep.
now. Why are we in this big, deep hole?
A lot of it came from the former Shumlin administration. I'm glad you
Exactly.
brought that up.
Yes.
We have, let me see, Allie Richards, she worked for former Governor Shumlin.
She was Shumlin's
correct?
administration, yeah.
Did I keep seeing or hearing people tell me that, did Amanda Janeau have some,
I think she did, but I
don't
can't
know
speak
for sure.
to the connection.
I'm going to need to verify that.
Right.
Charity Clark worked for Peter Shumlin
And Mike Pichek.
and Mike Pichek.
There
So
was EB5 involvement.
yes,
on
so
some level.
is the progressive left trying to reconstitute an administration that was voted out? I think Peter Shumlin left when Governor Scott was first elected Is that correct?
I
I'm
don't
pretty
know my
sure that's correct.
timeline on that. All I know is many people were very happy to see him go because there were a lot of questions about ethics in that administration.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So my point is, why are we trying to bring back so many people who were part of that administration if there was so much discontent with that
Yes.
administration? Not to
Yes.
mention the healthcare stuff that came out of it, that some of it still exists. It's still hurting.
It is.
our
We have to
healthcare
get that out of the
system.
way. Add that to the list of
Right.
the repeals. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So these are the things that when you pull that curtain, you grab your ballot. These are the things that you need, among many others,
Right.
that you need to be considering
Yes.
when you're choosing who's going to be on your November ballot.
And just thinking of the balance so that,
Yeah.
neither party has too much control or power. But right
Yeah.
now we know that we need the Republicans in there to balance it out and to try to get the good action happening. Like that's a
And
bottom
good
line
action
in Vermont.
happens when we have a more rigorous debate, a more honest debate, a more
Yes.
balanced debate.
Absolutely.
We get both sides heard in committee.
Right.
So that when those bills are voted out and then debated on the floor, we can have an honest discussion and say we heard an equal amount from both sides. And in
Right.
the end, we decided this was best because.
Yeah, because I remember being in the State House when the supermajority was there, and it
Yeah.
was just so
Oh, it was
heartbreaking.
very rushed, I heard.
It
Very
was
rushed.
because they just knew there's nothing the Republicans could do. There's absolutely nothing they could do. We're just going to steamroll you, right over here because
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what you think or say. That's why we obviously ended up with all of this imbalance. So voting today is incredibly important to really help get Vermont on a better in a better track.
Yeah, I believe it.
Definitely, yeah.
For retirees, for if we want to keep our young people, if we want to encourage young families to move here,
Mm-hmm.
if we want to encourage more business owners, small business owners, to choose Vermont as the place where they want to start or expand their currently existing business.
And even just to be able to afford your own basic living expenses.
Yes.
You do not need higher costs on electricity, higher costs on heat, higher costs on fuel for your car, and all of these bills that we're talking about that need to be repealed. That's ultimately what they do. It's a bottom line for all of us.
Yeah,
Definitely.
it is. It truly is bottom line. So
Yep.
I know that you wanted to talk more about the data centers because it keeps coming up.
Oh, yes.
And we saw this with other instances and other issues in the 2023 and 2024 biennium. The dumping on the governor and blaming of the governor for certain things. And with data centers,
Yeah.
there's this blame game. And I think we need to reiterate, like you said, what happened with it, how we had a good bill that was made bad
Right.
by the Senate, and that's why it was vetoed. It came out of our committee and the Energy and Digital IT committees. It got good discussion. It looked like it was good to deal with the data centers that people had concerns over.
Right.
The bill, the way it was written, including the Act 250 constraints, really gave us a good level of safety.
Oh, absolutely. It
The
was so
Senate
protective in the House.
Revisions made it a really bad bill, a really mistake. It would have been a mistake
It
for the governor not
absolutely-
to
right.
veto it.
And it absolutely demanded a veto. If that
Yeah.
was to be signed into law, it would have been absolutely horrible precedent, and it would have been really embarrassing for Vermont to sign in such a compromised law.
Yeah.
And it's tough for people to understand that if you don't necessarily know the details. So one of the things I've been watching that you just referred to, Mike, is just the propaganda around this. I mean,
Yep.
people keep using it for political gain. I'm hearing many Democrats, unfortunately, many, Allie Richards, who's running, just using this. You give me that data center bill back, I'll have that signed right away. And it's like, if you were to sign that would absolutely be a disgrace
Well, it's
in
kind
the
of-
way it came out.
It's kind of doublespeak. Which one? The one that came out of the House and one that came out of the
And
Senate?
this
Which
is
version?
right. There was a recent commentary by Ben Edgerly Walsh,
Uh-huh.
who he is a lobbyist for VPIRG, so
Okay.
Vermont Public Interest Research Group. And he wrote an article recently. I saw it in Digger. I think it's gone to a few other newspapers as well. And it was very distorted in my opinion. And this is where it's trying to break through the reality, because Vermonters deserve honesty about what really went on. And so basically in his letter, in his opinion piece, it was essentially saying there was the House version and then there was the Senate version, and the governor vetoed the Senate version, and that had so many more protections. And as one who was very involved in watching and trying to help guide some of this legislation, basically House version started off pretty good, still few things to correct. It got to the Senate. He's absolutely right. They tightened up some language, they made some good moves, and then they put the extortion fee, and then they allowed the loophole for pollution. You do not do that in a bill. If Governor Scott signed that, that would have been absolutely horrific. And that's the piece that, of course, he didn't mention of, yes, the Senate certainly made it better in some regards, and then they went and did these two things, and you have the Land Use Review Board saying, oh no, you just allowed for pollution. Vermonters do not want pollution of our waters. And then you don't put an extortion fee on like that.
Well, it all depends on how you interpret things. If he was thinking of it from a way to guarantee we never have a data center,
or
then,
other businesses.
or that's the thing.
Right.
But it wasn't reasonable because it would not only exclude data centers, it would have excluded so many other different variations of larger businesses.
Right.
That it would have been an economic drag on the state.
And already you're asking them to pay extra costs to
Yes.
offset. And in this case, it would have been a way above and beyond amount, like an insane. That's why it was really an extortion fee.
Yeah.
And the only other last thing I'll say, Mike, is the chair of the Senate Natural Resource and Energy Committee, Senator Watson, she was told specifically by the Department of Public Service, if you move this bill as is, we will not support it. So she knew that Department of Public Service administration were not going to support this, and they didn't fix it. So these are some of the realities on the policy details that I think it's important for people to understand, because there's a lot of fear, rightly so, around data centers. I get it for sure.
Right.
And we want it done right, and this was not done right. So
Well, like you said earlier, with majorities, massive majorities, or super majorities, which are worse,
yes.
we have this going on with our media, I think.
Yes.
Where the media isn't looking or doing any exploration of its own
Right.
to say, well, the governor said this, because the governor had a statement put out.
Yes, he did.
And
he qualified all of
that's,
this.
Yeah, that's ignored. So when
Right.
our media runs some of these statements without the rebuttal that came very quickly, then that's where people would say, well, there's a bias here. And it's an obvious bias.
And this is
It's
where you
obvious.
need the fourth branch. And when the media isn't stepping up to really provide the people with the
Yes.
info, that's where we get the problem.
Sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, that and
Exactly.
it is a big problem here. It
Yeah.
really is a big
And that's
problem.
obviously also why we're here at
Yeah.
Right Side Up, so we
Absolutely.
can try to get the info to the people.
Try to get the info to the people. So
Yes.
we are we only got like 3 minutes left. So this is going to have to find its way into the next segment. But this weekend I went to a couple of local events, and these kind of local events are popping up all over rural Vermont. But there's two in my district that I went to. One was a Revolutionary Days event.
Nice.
It was Saturday morning for a few hours, and it was at the Academy right there on Center Road, right by the post office.
Nice,
in
okay.
Corinth.
Good.
And it basically was a display of some of the activities and things from the heritage of Vermont.
So like colonial times?
Yes.
Mostly nice. Oh, that's excellent.
So there was one of my neighbors was there with his son, and he was using a draw knife, making ash pegs to use in the timber frame home that he's going to reconstruct from a timber frame home that was taken down and shipped all the way up from Connecticut.
That's incredible skills.
So,
That's
yeah, he was
amazing.
there doing that,
Good.
and he had some tools to demonstrate, other tools to demonstrate and talk to people about.
Mm-hmm.
And his son was there using carving tools, and he had almost a dozen different types of spoons that he had carved.
Oh, see, that's incredible. I always
Yeah,
have
it
so
was
much
cool.
respect for people who have those skills because I do not have
And the
fine motor
pinches,
skills
yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, there was.
And was there a good turnout, good support for the
Yeah,
event?
there was.
Good.
One of my neighbors also had a milk cow and her calf there
Nice.
on display for for the kids and for other people.
Good.
What else? There was some. The cream from the cow was churned by one of the residents' young children.
Oh, they
right
were
there.
making butter right there.
Made butter right there.
Oh, that's excellent.
There was some fresh baked goods. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of stuff inside. I spent a lot of time talking with people outside, so I don't even know what was inside. I know one of the residents' children had a small forge and was actually demonstrating. Yeah, this is a teenager demonstrating
amazing.
blacksmithing skills, which was pretty cool.
Really incredible.
Yeah.
This reminds me of the Tunbridge Fair where they have
Yeah.
that whole sort of reenactment
Yes,
space
right.
up there.
Yes,
Yeah.
and there was another table outside that had one gentleman had a bunch of old coins dating all the way back to, I think the oldest one he had was dated back to the 1600s.
Oh, I love that history. That's incredible.
So
Good.
that was one of the events, and on Sunday I attended another, but we are going to need to bring that up after we pay a few bills because we've burned through one segment already. So we shall return in a few minutes, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Right Side Up. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Right Side Up. My name is Mike Taglavia. My co-host is Allison Despathi. Let's see. So we were talking about local events in small town Vermont. And one of the things that I attended on Sunday was at the Meadow Meeting House, and it was entitled Long Lived Locals Share Their Life and Work Stories. And I thought it was great.
It's the wisdom passing on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and the history and heritage of Vermont that we need to be able to live every day, not just look at in a museum.
Yeah, just to keep it alive. This is our Vermont culture.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So there were two farmers, a logger, and a gentleman who worked in the Bowen Hunter Bobbin Mill.
Oh, cool.
You see how many towns you drive through and you see Bobbin Shop Road. Mm-hmm. And I always think the little sewing bobbins, but these were the big, large bobbins for
the big machines
for yarns and stuff like that. Right. So I walked in a little bit late, and one gentleman was talking about working in the bobbin, the roughing room, where they were put on the lathe, very fast spinning lathe that sometimes could be dangerous. If you
Right.
hit a knot, these things would come flying off the
Right.
lathe. So it wasn't always an easy job,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And it wasn't, it could be a little bit dangerous. But he talked about how many years he worked there, having his dad worked there as a foreman, stuff like that. And these bobbins were made from small chunks of wood. I think they called them bolts.
Yeah, I just love hearing about that industry.
Right.
Yeah.
So
that's so cool.
There was the timber logs would come out and the trees would be cut out of the woods, but it wasn't like there was a lot of waste because there were even the smallest pieces
Were used, right?
were usable, and
Right.
then even some of the waste was put on dump trucks and sent away for firewood.
Right.
And sometimes, depending on the market, sometimes it was just given away because they needed to get it off the property. Mm-hmm. So it actually helped, these places. Sometimes, I think one of I can't remember if it was the bobbin mill or another mill that was described, had over 70 people
Working.
working.
Wow.
Okay.
And there's a book. I don't know if you ever heard of the book. It's called Counting on Grace. and it's a story
never heard of
about
it.
the mills in Vermont, but it was
Oh,
also
yeah?
a story about when the children would work
Oh,
in the
okay.
mills and just the danger of it.
Oh, yeah.
That had gone on as well. So,
Right.
yeah.
Right. But that I found that to be very interesting. There was a gentleman who talked about even growing up at a very young age, wanting to work in the woods, wanting to cut trees. And before he was old enough to operate a chainsaw, he was given an axe and a crosscut saw
That's awesome.
to go out and cut trees.
Have at it. Right.
Yeah. So, and he talked about being able to make money selling even pulpwood.
Right.
And there, depending on the market, depending on the time of the year, there was a way that you could finance your life with and do it, make a pretty good hourly wage comparing to other jobs. And that was one,
And just
we're
on
talking
this sort
about
of small scale,
Yeah.
yeah, it
But
would
this-
be great to get back to that.
But this gentleman said how much he loved working in the woods, and he was able to actually make money at it. So he loved being out there, and he was actually able to make money. So why not? right?
Exactly.
But the one that really got me, being on the environment committee, I liked hearing about the logging and stuff and the mills,
Yep.
but the farming.
Oh, yeah.
There were two gentlemen, two brothers, who were our fourth generation retired dairy farmers, and the sixth generation of this family is still living in Corinth, and they still have a farm in Corinth that's been modernized. But these two brothers talked about the very beginnings, and I believe it started in the late 1890s.
Nice.
I didn't take any notes, but
So
I'm
they've
pretty
been
sure it was
keeping it alive and going.
it is still alive and well, but they
Yeah.
talked about the evolution. They talked about one owner, one gentleman still has the first tractor that they ever purchased for the farm.
Oh, that's
he
amazing.
drove it to this event.
Oh,
it
that's
was
it's
great.
still functional.
It's
Listen
still
to that.
functioning.
That is so incredible.
Yes, he drove it to this
They don't
event,
make
so
them like
that
they
was
used
really
to,
awesome.
Mike.
No, they do not. Everything is disposable, which is very, very disappointing.
Right. That's great.
But there was a number of things that really caught me, and one of the things, and I know because of the testimony and the caucuses that I've been to, hearing about, I don't know if it was last year or 2 years ago, losing 50 farms
Right. Unbelievable.
in Vermont.
Mm-hmm.
Now these farms were smaller way back,
Yep. A
but
small family farm.
there
the
was a
homestead.
time
Right.
when Corinth itself had 45 farms.
Yeah. That's just so.
Ladies
crazy
and
to
gentlemen, we need to
imagine.
regain 45 statewide
Right.
this year.
Right.
How do we do it? Let's do it.
And that's
And
where
I know
there
how
are
we
a
do
lot
it.
of young farmers who are coming
Yes.
in and trying, and we
They're
just have
trying.
to open up the space for them, right?
Yeah.
And get rid of those regs, like some of the crazy
Examine
regs.
those regulations.
Right.
Somebody was we talked about when they changed the regulations that you needed to put concrete floors in.
Mm-hmm.
And this one gentleman said concrete floors are not good for cows. They're not good
Right.
for humans
People
either.
Exactly.
Leg problems, stuff like that.
Right, it's
Instead
hard.
of, we did it backwards. We did it wrong, I think.
I know.
Instead of taking farms and saying, okay, look, you keep having outbreaks of these problems, you really need to upgrade to concrete floors. But instead, it was mandated
Across the board.
across the board,
Right,
which made
right.
it very difficult for the smaller farms that at one point were viable, and they finally decided to throw in the towel. And incrementally, they started to disappear.
Right. And this is where you are seeing definitely a resurgence of smaller family farms that are really
Yep.
diversified. They're trying to do events, they're trying to do some milk, some meat,
Yeah.
some visiting tours, etc.
Yeah.
And that's making a difference. We just have to open it up to make it possible for these young farmers to come in to keep
Right.
that going. Right.
So, that I think is a good lead in. This was really good. I can't remember how long it lasted, but I was really glad that I went and I spoke to 3 of the gentlemen who presented, and I'm still working on trying to get at least one, maybe all 3, to come in and talk about not just the farming, but the logging.
That's awesome.
We had
Who put that together anyway,
we had Bill
Mike?
Sargent. This was
Does it say who pulled it together?
no, but I think it was put together by friends of the Meadow Meeting House, but I cannot say
Okay.
for sure.
No, that's great.
But
It's awesome to hear
it's in a
that.
beautiful old building. This building has the old gas lantern, the
cool.
chandeliers in it.
Cool.
And the way there's two wood stoves in it, the way the stovepipe is run to be able to keep it heated.
To warm, right,
yeah.
right. Good.
It's pretty interesting. So
Yeah,
I'm
that's awesome.
two events this weekend that I'm very glad that I went to.
It's amazing
Got a lot
what
of
we can learn.
Yeah, a lot of enlightening information. And I think that's a good lead into the next subject we want to talk about is it's fair season.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Well, this is all reminding me of the Tunbridge Fair. And if you
Yeah.
haven't been down to that,
Yes.
it's just incredible to see the sort of reenactment where they're making wool and you've got your Civil War, soldiers
Yes.
there with their muskets that actually work.
Yes.
I mean, it's really
yes.
incredible.
Well,
Yeah.
and there's, I can't remember the name. I don't know if it's an alley or a road that they have where there is nothing but all the antique.
Oh, yeah, you've
and
got all the old tractors.
all the old
and the
tractors and machines.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's a beautiful walk through
sugaring
Vermont history.
stuff, farming stuff, plows.
Free ice
you name it.
cream, handmade ice cream. They've
Yes.
got the blacksmithing there.
Yes,
They've
they
got
do.
people who are hewing, I think that's the word, hewing the logs to make the post and beam.
Yep.
The kids and I used to love that when they were younger.
Post
Yeah.
and beam and the timber frame, and there is a
Yes.
difference.
That's what I mean. Yes.
Right,
Thank you. Yes.
timber frame.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Tunbridge Fair is great. We do a booth there, ladies and gentlemen. If you like going to fairs, stop by the Tunbridge Fair. Maybe we will meet.
And we'll be doing a booth at the Caledonia
Yep.
County Fair.
Yep,
That
that's
one,
great.
I think,
That's
is like
a good
the
fair.
26th to the 30th up in the Northeast Kingdom. That's
Yeah,
a really fun
the
fair.
Tunbridge Fair is what 17 through 20,
That's
I
all
believe.
next week. Coming up soon
Uh,
here.
no,
no,
it's-
no.
that's
Sorry,
in
that's
September.
My
That's in
bad.
September.
What's next week? Rutland.
Oh, okay,
is the
Rutland,
next
another
week.
big fair.
Yes.
Another big fair that if we don't figure out a way to deal with some regulations, the Rutland Fair is going to be in danger.
Because of that
3-acre rule.
That's
Okay.
right. That's right.
This is
Caledonia
another reason.
County fair is
Yeah.
at risk for that too.
Okay, so
Yeah.
this is another. We bring it back to the first segment.
Mm-hmm.
Who you vote for matters.
Yes.
Who you vote for matters. We need balance, and balance means a lot of things. Balance when it comes to we need people and the land. It's not
Yes.
people or the land.
Right.
We are not weeds on the landscape.
How do we work
gonna
together?
yes,
Right.
if we're going to exist here, there is going to be a certain level of environmental harm for everything we do.
Mm-hmm.
But there is also a gain. And we have to weigh one against the other.
Right. And minimize and mitigate
Yes.
what needs to happen.
So,
right. But not make it
closing
impossible.
down fairs is not the solution.
No, that will destroy a lot of Vermont culture and
Yes.
tradition.
Yes.
Right.
And we want to keep that. We want to keep what has made Vermont famous worldwide, not just among the United States, worldwide.
Right.
And I've spoken to people who've come from all over the world.
To see
and they
Vermont.
love it, to ski, to spend summers here because the summers are pretty damn nice too.
Oh, they're amazing.
Okay. So,
Exactly.
yeah. There's a lot of great things you can see at a lot of the wonderful fairs. I can't remember how many there are in the Northeast, including some just over the border in New Hampshire.
Yes.
That's part of the fair system
They have
that
the
we
Lancaster Fair over there, which
have.
is
The North
amazing.
Haverhill Fair that we just missed. I missed it this year.
The Freiburg
was-
Fair in Maine, right there, is a big
Yeah,
one.
I hear that's a great one to
That's
go
a great
to.
one, yes.
My wife and I have got to get to that one.
Yeah.
So
And I
yeah,
just have to say no to the treats.
no to this. Well, that's
Lots
kind
of good
tough.
fair food.
I know. Yeah. Well, at the Tunbridge Fair, I know somebody who helps run the what is it? The Vermont Maple Association. I think they have the creamies and all the other maple
yes.
products.
Yeah, they do.
The amount of maple syrup they went through last year
Mm-hmm.
for their maple products, including the creamies. They had a record year last year.
Oh, that's
it
awesome.
was
Well,
incredible
hopefully
year.
they'll have another one.
Hopefully,
people
yes.
will get out and support.
Yeah, I know. I spent 4 days at our Orange County Republican booth, and I went twice. The first time I went, the line was just incredible. I was like, "Now I'm going to have to come back."
The famous maple creamy.
Yes,
Right.
the famous maple creepy. But I did go and get some, and I had a great conversation with somebody there while I was finishing off my maple creamy. So
Good. But these are some of the conversations that we just want to make sure we're having because obviously last week, we had Bill Sargent, the forester, on
Yes.
with talking about impacts to the logging industry
Yeah.
with the closure of Finch paper mill in
Yep.
Glen Falls. Apparently, they're going to be maybe taking in some, short-term wood right now.
Okay.
We just don't know how long that will last. But the risk to the logging industry and the forest industry with that closure, and also obviously the closure of the farms, like you had mentioned, the closing of some of the dairy plants. It's just, how do we get this resurgence of these industries, these working land industries that are so integral to Vermont? And
Yeah.
people who are so connected to the land, like, how do we get them supported so that they can come back and thrive in
Yeah.
a way that makes sense? And I think it's just back to what you said, the smaller sort of business, the smaller farms, the homesteads for people to be
Yeah,
able
the
to make a
homesteading,
living.
the hillside farms.
Right.
I've said it to numerous people. I don't care the size of the farm, just as long as we start having a net gain of farms.
Right.
That's most important to me.
Yes.
You want to be, let's see, an LFO, an MFO, and I guess an SFL, small farm operation, large,
Right. All
medium.
the ag
Okay.
terms. Right.
The ag terms.
Right.
I don't care.
Right.
I want to see the return of these hillside farms. I want us as a legislature to create an atmosphere where people can say, I want to stay small, but I can still stay viable.
Right.
If you can find a niche combined with reduced regulations, I'm sure we can do it. We have to have the mindset and the will to do it in the legislature. So
And
it's
it
going to
looks
be
like
very
New
interesting.
Hampshire. New Hampshire is in and of itself taking some really big steps. They already can sell raw milk at their grocery stores
Oh,
and
yeah.
health food stores, which would make a big difference for our farmers. They
Sure.
go through very high level testing, on the raw milk, and there's such benefit to raw milk, and that in and of itself would be a benefit to the farms. So they're
Yeah.
not dumping it and wasting it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I know a farmer, and we're coming to the end here, but of this segment. But I know a farmer who did not get his permitting for his farm stand because weighing the cost versus the benefit, he just said this year he's not going to
It
do
wasn't
it,
worth it
which is
for him.
disappointing. I want to see the exact opposite happen.
Exactly. Exactly.
So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Right Side Up. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Right Side Up. My name is Mike Taglavia. My co-host is Allison Despathy. Before we get into our discussion on next topic, Right Side Up radio@gmail.com if you'd like to drop us a line. If for some reason you can't catch us on WNTK Radio, you can go to WNTK.com, find the podcast button, click on it, and scroll down to Right Side Up. You'll be able to select and play any number of our shows, and you'll be able to share them with a friend. So you can hear us also on Podbean. You can hear us on 802 Scoop Facebook. You can hear us on 802 Scoop YouTube, and you can also hear us on granitegrok.com. So I want to get into, 2 weeks ago now, Allison?
Yeah,
It's
I
been
think
a while.
about 2. Yep.
The Senate Republicans on the steps of the State House in Montpelier rolled out the Vermont Promise.
Yes.
And we haven't talked about it here. I've been sharing it on social media, but we haven't talked about it here. And I figured it's probably, like you said, we should probably at least touch on it. And it's probably something we can probably touch on here and there a little bit more now as soon as this primary election is over.
It's a really great platform. It's a great Republican platform promise. This is what we'll do.
Yeah, and
Right.
I'd like to put a little plug in, and even if some people take it as a dig, that's okay. A lot of what you see in the Vermont Promise are policy proposals that Vermont Republicans have had, including the governor, have had for probably 10 years or more.
Easy. Yes.
Easily.
Yeah.
And they were ignored. Now, we luckily enough are on the precipice of getting far more balance, possibly getting the majority. So now finally the news media and the voting public is paying attention.
Yes.
So it's a good idea, I think, Allison, that we cover this. So
yeah, definitely.
What is it? A list
yeah.
of
So
7.
basically, there's 7 key points that they put out here, and then there's details where obviously
Right.
you can dig into more understanding of what this plan is. But it's just such a great plan, and it's like essentially, okay, well, what would you do? Okay, like, hey, Republicans,
Yeah.
if you guys actually could, sort of guide some of the legislation that moves through. Versus letting the bills that you have proposed to bring balance
Languish
and help
on the wall.
languish on the wall. We don't want that. But yeah, no, it's a 7-point plan. It looks like the Vermont Promise, and the first one is provide tax relief for Vermonters. I mean, my gosh,
Wouldn't it be
Vermonters
nice?
are begging. We've been begging. I know I've been begging for years with the Democratic leadership, with the supermajority in particular.
Yep.
And you guys obviously were able to hold the line and really make a difference with not increasing taxes.
Right.
I mean-
And it was touch and go, because the bill, when it got voted out of the House, that bill had a 7% increase.
Right.
Average.
They
7%
were not going to use
average.
the whole buy down, right?
Right. And thankfully, cooler heads prevailed in the Senate, and there was a full buy down, which still gave us
3.5%.
3.4. I can't remember. It's still too much, but it was way better than the original.
Not 7, not 7.5, not
Right.
14, not
Right.
20. I mean, my goodness.
Right.
And you guys were able to block any other fees,
Yes.
or cost increases, which was amazing.
Yes.
So continuing that promise
Yes.
to Vermonters. And then the second one, Mike, is affordable health care and insurance. Because
Yeah.
this is crushing a lot
And
of
this
Vermonters.
was what we try to do on many other policy issues.
Mm-hmm.
We look at model legislation from other states. We see what's working. We see what's making it more affordable across the board.
Yes.
And that's what the governor did. He was looking for us in the legislature to do that on our own, and we didn't.
Right.
And he took it upon himself in his executive order. Now, with that plan, it becomes incumbent upon us, once we get the right numbers, and I believe November will be when that happens.
Let's hope.
Then
Yep.
we act on it. So we take his EO and we convert it, and we codify it.
Yes.
We put policies, we repeal policies that we know are not working, we know are driving up costs, and we put in policies that take policies that are out of reach for people like you and me.
Right.
And now all of a sudden they're in reach, regardless of whether you're a 25-year-old or a 65-year-old.
Yeah, there's a clear path. And New Hampshire has been doing reinsurance for a long time. We know
Yeah.
that in and of itself could bring down costs like 12 to 15%. So there's a lot of action that can be taken. And obviously, we've got the highest healthcare costs in the nation, and it just keeps escalating, exponentially. So that's a huge one. I was really happy to see that.
Yeah.
And with an actual plan, not just this,
Right. Not a
superficial
pipe dream.
promise.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, here are the ways we would do it. And this is where you can also look up online, Vermont Promise put out by the Senate Republicans. It seems like all the Republicans, including yourself, really support this, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
Make housing more affordable.
Yep.
There's a lot that can be done on that. Again, a lot of it is the regulations and the permitting to allow builders to be able to enter this space
Yes.
and afford to build housing and all sorts of different types of housing.
And
that's
again, that
needed.
permitting and regulation, the governor in a previous EO tried to address that, and the majority in 2025 and 2026 pushed back because they didn't want to hear it.
And this was the wetland buffer changes.
That was
right?
one of them. That was part of it, but there were other things that still there was a lot of pushback.
Right.
And part of the streamlining of permitting, and we heard testimony. One of the things was the programming and stuff using AI to help people in the departments where they had to track permits. They would be able to track them easier with and for the permittees,
Right.
so that there was less and less duplication. Mm-hmm. So
Because that's what's a mess right now.
streamlining
That's-
time-wise, cost.
Yeah.
Because the more delays you have on your project, the more costs go up. I mean,
Exactly.
we heard in a lunchtime caucus, one business owner who was trying to expand his business to expand, not just for his customers, but to grow his business and grow the number of employees. 3 years in, almost $1 million.
Yeah, that's crazy because inflation, you're not going to
Yeah.
stop that.
So-
Exactly.
So it added over that time period, only because of the inflation, like you said, the additional cost, $2 million it added to the.
And this is where, when you've got Agency of Natural Resources themselves coming to your committee to request changes that are being completely denied by the chair who won't
there's a
engage,
problem.
there's a problem. So that's I think that, what did I say? That was the third one. So we've got provide tax relief for Vermonters, affordable health care and insurance, make housing more affordable. Here's the fourth one, revitalize rural Vermont. Definitely. How do you support rural Vermont? Obviously, Rural Vermont Rising came out of, literally the ground, this groundswell movement to
Came
say,
out of one question.
you're
and
not
started from
doing
that.
Act 181 to us. You're not going to do this, private property issue here. So
Yeah.
rural Vermont has certainly woken up and activated. And now it's, how do you support rural Vermont? How do you support, like we said in the earlier segment, the farmers, the loggers?
66 to 69% of the state is rural Vermont.
Right. And we want to make sure that they feel supported and they
Absolutely.
have access.
Absolutely.
Yes. So that's a big one. And then, oh my goodness, this one, of course, reminds me of Transportation Chair, House Chair, Matt Walker, wonderful
Yes.
Republican. He's from Swanton.
Yes.
And he would love to see this happen, as many of us would. Fully fund roads and bridges.
Well, I know one group that's going to be disappointed.
Okay, tell me.
The people who repair all the cars that are damaged because our roads are in such bad shape.
Right. But we will be very happy if we don't have to pay for those repairs.
Right.
Because we should absolutely. What are we supposed to be doing annually? 300 miles?
Roughly
of
300
road
miles,
repair?
and we're doing less than 100 apparently, or somewhere near that. Some people are arguing it's less than 100. Some say it's a little bit more, but we're below the number that would keep us on a 10-year cycle. So
Recovered.
our roads are in better shape.
Right.
They're never getting as bad. There are some roads
But when
in
people
my
keep
district that are
tapping
horrible.
into that
Yeah.
transportation fund and
Oh, yeah.
taking money, and we can't leverage to
Right.
get the federal funding to do this, then obviously we cut into being able to do this. And this is a basic function of government. We need to have functional roads to get from here to there.
Right. If
Right.
you
Without
need to
driving
get to your
10 miles
job.
an hour because I'm scared I'm going to blow an axle.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so that's a big one. And then the next one was eliminate costly energy mandates and reduce carbon emissions. This is so huge to me. I've been working on energy policy for a long time, and let's be realistic about it in Vermont. Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
We're
The
not
amount of
talking about-
money
right.
spent on this, unnecessarily
Yes.
spent on this.
Unnecessarily.
Yes.
Unnecessarily.
So what are
we
your
are not
thoughts on that?
talking about being irresponsible.
No,
we're
we're not.
talking about seeking out the most efficient energy policy.
Yes.
And that, Allison, really is going to need to include nuclear. It really, truly will. Because when our contract with, Hydro-Quebec
Hydro-Quebec, we've got.
expires and they decide that their customers up north of the border need more, and the only way they can do it is to say, guess what, Vermont, you're out of luck.
Right. You're not getting
We
this
don't-
good rate anymore.
No, we don't want to be in that position. We want to be able to, if we want to be self-sufficient with respect to food, why are we looking toward energy policy to do that?
Well, that's where it's also, we have a contract with Seabrook Nuclear for baseload
Yes,
power.
we do.
And people don't want to talk about it, but it is a reality. We need some sort of baseload power.
It's very nuclear is very energy dense, and if you look at the the history of its safety over, 50, 75 years, it proves to be very safe.
Yeah, and this is where I need to dig into that personally a little bit more. All I know is we need some baseload, and we have to figure out what that's
Yes.
going to be, because we know our renewables are absolutely not offering that, and they're
Right.
very expensive and subsidized by us to then pay more for that type of energy. So this was so amazing to hear. Just a real focus, and that brings up obviously the renewable energy standard and electricity rates as well. And then the last one, Mike, is make communities safe and increase accountability. And I think everyone who's watching right now is going to get behind this public
everybody,
safety.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I still hear about that. I hear stories about how my entire district for decades, for generations, was extremely safe. People felt extremely safe, didn't feel like they needed to lock a car or a home.
Right.
And that's no longer the case because of the lack of accountability and the lack of our ability to provide recovery services for the people who require it.
Right.
And accountability to me and many others is, okay, look, you're in the system now. You are at a crossroads.
Right. Which way are you going to go here?
Where are you going to go?
And there's
It's
got to
up
be the
you.
consequences. We
and
have
that's-
to
yes.
have the consequences.
Absolutely. And we had the working farms that were working that for some reason the state said, oh, this building is in disrepair. We're closing it. So that option went away. And I think in retrospect, we should be looking back and saying we should have done work on repairing that facility so that we had at least one. Well, I don't know if there's another recovery facility similar, but that one was working.
Right. And we
And-
have to acknowledge this is a part of the story. I mean, it
It
is a
is.
part, and we need to get people supported. And we can't just have this, catch and release system right now going on because communities, I know St. Johnsbury just had some uproar that went on over in the kingdom. I mean, it's happening. Obviously, Burlington has been struggling, and the city council is trying to put a Burlington forward plan, and there's been debate around that. But we deserve to live in safe communities, and if something happens, there's got to be steps to deal with that.
Yeah.
Versus just, there you go, back out on the street and do it again. No way.
Yeah, there's no victim services
Right.
when it comes to that. There's no
Right.
victim services.
Right.
Stolen vehicles, stolen property from vehicles, including catalytic converters, but stolen from inside the vehicle also,
Yeah.
crimes of opportunity. People need to have the idea in the back of their mind that there's going to be a consequence for something they're thinking about doing
Exactly.
or to some of their neighbor's property or stealing from.
Exactly.
their
And that's where
neighbor's
I love to see that. Make communities safe and increase accountability. So if anyone is interested in checking more of that out, you can easily find the details online of this plan
Right.
that Republicans are offering Vermont if they are to have more balance in there or
Yes.
even potentially gain leadership.
It is
This
online, and people who have it all over Facebook now, all over
Yes.
social media. There are a lot of candidates who are running with that. So,
Yes.
it's pretty easy to find. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the show again. Allison, thank you so much for all of your help. Remember, first of all, get out there and vote today. Stay safe, stay informed, listen to Right Side Up.